From the moment we first announced we're And V.
I'm V.
You alright?
Fine. Just needed a breather.
Sounded like you blew your guts airlock.
Yeah, I barfed. It's just stress.
Esa chamba te va a matar. Hey, you all there?
We had a leak. My boss called. Dragged me in because we had to intervene. Everyone in Night City HQ is on edge.
But no way you're fucked, right? You're the one who fixes other people's shit.
Jackie, if you work in Arasaka counter intel, you're always fucked.
On the medium setting, you'll notice quite a large reduction in texture clarity relative to the high setting, and on low the game is very blurry. Not all textures are impacted. There are some surface level details and dynamic displays that don't seem to be affected, but everything keeping this setting on high for most graphics cards, and only turn down the setting if you run out of VRAM, such as when playing on a 6GB GPU. 8GB GPUs will largely be fine playing Cyberpunk with high textures, although with ray tracing enabled at high resolutions like 4K, performance can reduce somewhat, so the game is very much on the edge with 8GB GPUs. 10 or 12GB appear while retaining object blur. The high and low settings here simply adjust the strength of the blur effect, high being more blurry, off disables motion blur as expected. The implementation of motion blur while retaining object blur. The high and low settings here simply adjust the strength of the blur effect. It's worth using will mostly come down to personal preference. We always prefer disabling motion blur when playing at a high frame rate, although if you are targeting 30 FPS, then motion blur will hide the fact the game is running as a slideshow. Contact shadows is a straightforward setting. With it enabled, some objects are able to cast shadows onto itself or other nearby objects. Here, for example, the sandbags are casting sun shadows onto itself, which increases the realism and depth to the presentation. Not all objects are impacted, but a surprising number are. Even though disabling contact shadows can provide a 3 to 4% performance improvement, I think for most people you'll want to play the game with this setting enabled. However, if you are interested in a large performance improvement, then turning contact shadows off is a viable choice as it doesn't disable all shadows. Improved facial lighting geometry is a setting that I couldn't really tell if it was turned on or off, both from a visuals and performance perspective. I assessed a number of faces in different lighting conditions and it didn't seem to make much difference, so I'd leave this setting on. Anisotropy affects the clarity of textures when viewed at off angles. I didn't spot a huge difference between the setting on 16 or 8, but dropping down to 4 does reduce the crispness of textures in some circumstances. It's minor but certainly noticeable. Using the setting on 1 makes the game look awful, so clearly this is not the best way to play the game and shouldn't be used unless you are also turning down texture quality, as why bother running high textures if you're not going to filter them properly. Luckily, in most games, anisotropy has little to no performance impact unless you turn it to 1, which delivers up to a 3% performance improvement. Unless you have Mesh quality affects the quality of geometric detail used to cast shadows from artificial light sources, which is quite the niche feature. I found it quite difficult to tell the difference between the three quality options, although in this scene I did notice that switching from high, medium to low did reduce the shadow accuracy for this barrier. It seems that indeed the low setting reduces three quality options, although in this scene I did notice that switching from high, medium to low did reduce the shadow accuracy for this barrier. It seems that indeed the low setting reduces the geometry quality used for the shadow. Most of the time you'll see no difference, and you probably won't have noticed this either unless I pointed it out. Given that there is a small performance improvement moving from high to medium with little to no perceptible quality change, I would recommend the medium setting. Mode. Local shadow quality does exactly what it says, for shadows casted by artificial light sources such as indoors. Reducing this setting reduces the quality and resolution of these shadows. The high setting preserves the sharpest local shadows, medium is a clear reduction compared to high with a blurrier shadow presentation, low is basically identical to medium, then off completely turns off local shadows, which hurts the image quality. The only major performance difference I spotted from this setting was turning it down from high to medium. As there was not much of a difference between medium and off outside of a small improvement to 1% lows in our test area, I would strongly suggest not turning off local shadows. For those after the best visual quality, I feel that the high setting is a clear enough upgrade to justify a 2% hit to performance. For those after more performance, medium is a good choice as it still preserves local shadows, just at a reduced quality. Cascaded shadows range impacts how far into the distance you'll see dynamic shadows casted from the sun. In this scene, for example, you'll notice that with the setting on high, pretty much all of the NPCs and grass even far into the distance. How far into the distance you'll see dynamic shadows casted from the sun. In this scene, for example, you'll notice that with the setting on high, pretty much all of the NPCs and grass even far into the distance have sun shadows. Turning this down to medium removes sun shadows even far into the distance have sun shadows. Turning this down to medium removes sun shadows for distant NPCs, but it preserves it for closer NPCs, and then turning it to off removes shadows for distant and near NPCs, even affecting some of the closer grass elements, so the game does look flatter with this setting on low. Not a huge performance gain to be had here, even though parts of our benchmark run are outside where this setting would make a difference. At best, turning the setting to low would see a 1 to 2% gain, which just isn't worth it. I would recommend keeping this on high. Cascaded shadows resolution affects the sharpness and clarity of sun shadows. The high and medium settings are pretty similar, but high does produce less shadow aliasing in some scenes, so it is the least artifacted way to play. The low setting, though, has clearly reduced shadow resolution with lots of shimmering and aliasing across the presentation, so I'd avoid that mode if possible. For performance, you'll only see a 1 to 2% gain moving from high to medium, so for the best visual quality, I'd stick with high shadow resolution, only using medium if you need more performance. Low performs pretty similarly to medium for a much larger reduction to image quality, so I wouldn't recommend it. Distant shadows resolution is similar to cascaded shadows resolution, but only affects shadows further from the camera. The impact of this setting can be hard to spot, but I did find one area where the difference is visible. Considering it has little to no performance impact in intensive areas of the game, I would use the high setting. Volumetric fog resolution is similar to this setting on other games in that it has a big impact on performance. Visually though, the differences can be quite subtle. When stationary, there's not a huge difference between ultra high and medium, with high settings being slightly more accurate. However, when dropping to low, you'll notice a reduction to fog though the differences can be quite subtle. When stationary, there's not a huge difference between ultra high and medium, with high settings being slightly more accurate. However, when dropping to low, you'll notice a reduction to fog quality even when standing still, with artifacts that I think are noticeable. In motion, the differences are a little more pronounced, with Ultra providing the ultimate clean experience, high looking very slightly worse than Ultra, medium being a step down, and low producing many artifacts. Given these are fairly standard temporal artifacts from using lower volumetric fog quality, it's possible you won't even notice this during normal gameplay, as the amount of fog and its density is pretty much the same even on lower quality settings. When we look at the performance impact, dropping volumetric fog from Ultra to High provides just a 1% performance improvement, but Ultra to Medium is a significant 7% impact to average frame rates. Low is slightly more performant than Medium. This level of artifacting from medium fog is definitely more noticeable than using Ultra, but I feel it doesn't ruin the experience to that significant of a degree, and I would take the 7% performance gain it provides. Ultra is definitely the best way to play for gamers with high-end GPUs, but for everyone else, I would optimize this down to medium, and I'd avoid low even on lower-end graphics cards. Volumetric cloud quality affects the resolution of clouds. It's pretty hard to tell the difference between ultra high and medium, although I wouldn't recommend off, as it just turns off clouds completely. Medium produces slightly lower resolution clouds than Ultra. What's interesting about the performance of this setting is that during intensive areas of the game, you just won't notice much of a performance impact. That's because clouds are high up in the sky where you aren't often looking, and the heaviest areas of the game also tend to have big tall skyscrapers that obscure the visibility of clouds. Yes, you will notice a performance difference if you tilt up and you look at the sky or go out into the more sparse areas of the game, but these areas also perform much better than the city areas of Cyberpunk in general. Given all of this, I would recommend using the medium quality setting. It doesn't look that different from Ultra, and it does give a performance boost in less intensive areas where clouds are more visible. ISO up to, say, an 8% improvement. Just don't expect this setting to alleviate performance issues in Cyberpunk's more intensive areas, because it's unlikely clouds high up in the sky that you aren't looking at are the reason for lower performance. I didn't see much impact to performance from the max dynamic decal setting even when unloading tons of bullets into various areas, so I'd leave this on Ultra. Screen space reflections quality is by far the most intensive non-ray traced setting in the game. Simply put, it affects the resolution and therefore clarity of reflections. The higher you go, the clearer the reflections. Moving from Ultra to High isn't a massive difference, though it is noticeable in some areas. Reflections. Moving from Ultra to High isn't a massive difference, though it is noticeable in some areas. Medium is a step down with blurrier and less defined reflections, while Low really cuts down on the resolution to essentially just provide the essence of a reflection. Off disables the feature entirely, which given the amount of reflective surfaces in the game, delivers a huge blow to image quality. There's also the Psycho setting, one step above Ultra, which provides an even higher reflection resolution. Also the Psycho setting, one step above Ultra, which provides an even higher reflection resolution. Also the Psycho setting, one step above Ultra, which provides an even higher reflection resolution, but the gap between these modes is similar to the difference between High and Ultra, so it's not a massive improvement. For gamers that want to enjoy optimized but still high quality visuals, I think the medium setting here is the way to go, as it provides a 20% performance improvement for only a massive improvement. For gamers that want to enjoy optimized but still high quality visuals, I think the medium setting here is the way to go, as it provides a 20% performance improvement for only a small hit to visuals. That's certainly substantial. I could also justify High, as it looks close to Ultra but with an 11% gain, but I feel that most gamers will prefer the extra performance on offer from Medium. Low is a great choice if you need even more performance, as the 26% performance gain over Ultra is massive given reflections are still enabled, though at a noticeably lower quality than Medium. Turning off SSR gives a 10% gain over Medium but drastically transforms the game's visuals. The Psycho setting also is completely pointless as it destroys performance for only a minor quality gain. Definitely wouldn't recommend using it. Subsurface scattering quality is supposed to affect skin quality, but honestly I couldn't. Ambient occlusion works in the same way as other games, providing self-shadowing for close together objects. The difference between high, medium and low is the strength of ambient occlusion, with high settings providing greater shadowing and more depth. The impact of this varies depending on the area, but I do feel that low makes the game world look flatter than using high. Off disables the effect entirely. I feel that low makes the game world look flatter than using high. Off disables the effect entirely, which makes the game look very flat and underwhelming. Definitely would not. Off disables the area, but I do feel that low makes the game world look flatter than using high. Off disables the effect entirely, which makes the game look very flat and underwhelming. Definitely would not recommend that setting. As for performance, ambient occlusion doesn't have a huge impact. Switching from high to low improved my frame rate in the most intensive area of Dogtown by just 2%. It's only disabling the effect entirely that gives a large performance boost. Given that I feel the game looks noticeably flatter using low ambient occlusion, I'd keep this setting on high, only reducing to low if you need extra performance. Color precision is supposed to reduce banding when set to high, but I didn't really spot any noticeable difference to medium. Given that medium is 1% faster on average, you may as well use the medium setting. Mirror quality is not that important of a setting in Cyberpunk because the most intensive areas will typically run worse than areas that have mirrors enabled. For that reason, you may as well just leave this on high as it has no impact during regular gameplay. However, if mirrors really destroy performance on your system, each setting produces a step down in mirror resolution. I saw up to a 21% performance gain in mirrors switching from high to medium and 31% from ultra to low, so medium is a good midpoint here. Level of detail is supposed to affect geometry, detail, and draw distances, but in Cyberpunk I found the setting has no impact to visuals or performance. Bit weird, but I am quite confident that even in areas with vast view distances, the setting doesn't change anything, so keep it on high. Crowd density affects the number of NPCs in busy areas, and typically while GPU limited, this setting has little to no impact on performance. Therefore, if you have a high-end CPU and aren't finding yourself CPU constrained, the best course of action is to set this to high so you enjoy a more densely packed game world. However, crowd density is still reasonable on low, so if you have a slower CPU and are struggling in these difficult to run areas of Dogtown, turning the setting down to low is definitely viable and will improve performance somewhat. Next up, we get to the ray traced effects. Ray traced reflections, in my opinion, has the biggest impact on visual quality. These reflections replace screen space reflections and work in many more circumstances, like when the object in the reflection is not on screen, or when the reflective surface is glass and it needs to reflect what is behind you. This significantly transforms the visuals of the game to make it look better and more accurate. On top of this, other reflections where SSR would normally be applied are now enhanced with increased resolution and higher accuracy. In many areas, reflections go from blurry to much clearer when RT reflections are enabled. The performance hit is quite large from using this setting, so the optimized choice would be to not use ray tracing. Look different to ultra rasterized shadows. It doesn't necessarily make the game look noticeably better in my opinion. Accuracy and even provide shadows where previously there weren't any. Especially after you realize it's not that accurate compared to accuracy. This is a tricky setting to evaluate as a lot of the time ray traced lighting makes the game look different, but doesn't necessarily make it look better, especially after you realize it's not that accurate compared to the path traced mode. In many scenes, the impact of RT lighting was obvious, but simply affected what objects received shadowing and illumination. In some scenes, I found RT lighting to be clearly superior and more accurate. In others, it just looked like an artist had gone through and changed the way the game looked, as artists will do for all lighting styles, including rasterization. The differences between RT lighting on medium, ultra, and psycho were also reasonably subtle, and again, mostly just changed the way the game looked without making it clearly look better. Personally, this is a setting I would experiment with and only enable if you significantly prefer the way the ray traced lighting looks compared to ultra level rasterization. I find I prefer the way the ray traced lighting looks compared to ultra level rasterization. I find RT lighting looks slightly better in my opinion, though I couldn't justify using a setting higher than medium. As for performance impact, RT lighting has the biggest impact of the RT settings outside of than with either rasterized or normal ray traced visuals or other effects. Medium drops texture quality to medium, which noticeably hurts the clarity of these textures. Lastly, I have shadows and ambient occlusion, and further reduces screen space reflections, but maintains high textures and crowd density, which are cut when using the built-in medium. Examples of our optimized settings in action, the hub quality mode, for the most part, looks very similar to Ultra, especially when you aren't stopping to analyze reflections.
to meet you, Ma. Hey, you all there, V?
Don't worry about me. I'll manage on my own.
Buena suerte.
You think Japan will find out?
About what?
About Frankfurt. I mean, it's a small leak, but still.
Japan already knows.
Where'd you hear this?
Assume Japan knows everything. It's safest that way.
I'll be late. Uh-huh. No.
1919 was a year of great change in our history. The onset of American Prohibition, the end of World War I, and the birth of Saburo Arasaka. From an early age,
Christ, V, you were supposed to be here an hour ago.
father had founded. As
Got held up, but I'll be right there.
demonstrated the
Fucking Frankfurt. That Abernathy bitch will probably dump it in our laps. Ugh, hanging up. I'll be in my office. You hurry up.
Upon his doorstep. Saburo Arasaka enlisted as a pilot in the Nippon Kaigun, the Japanese Imperial Navy. By the age of 23, he had already achieved the rank of lieutenant. With 20 confirmed aerial victories, he forever will be honored.
Now we're evacuating the rest of our facilities in that part of Europe.
What's the status of the three?
They're dead. Once everyone else is safe, we'll issue a statement to the media.
Saying what?
A tragic accident during routine security system maintenance would be my bet.
Join us after the break to hear what happened next.
Mr. Jenkins asked for you. He's in his office.
Hey, V. It's been ages. It's me, Frank. We met during Icefall. East Coast, remember?
I didn't know you were in Night City. How have you been?
You know how it is. A week ago, I was still in Cape Town. I heard you're in counter intel. Must have a shit show on your hands right now after Frankfurt. Jenkins is your lead, right? Is he what everyone says he is?
What's everyone say about Jenkins?
That he's effective. Like any psychopath. Apparently, he's gone a little crazier lately.
Hey, he's in a tough spot. The director was supposed to greenlight his promotion when the Japanese arrived. She stabbed him in the back instead. And you? Who do you work under?
Abernathy. She's really good. Came up with the whole Cape Town ploy on her own.
Abernathy. The bitch who burned my boss in the promotion to Spec Ops Director.
You know how it is. Things happen.
Yeah, they do indeed. Tell me about the op in Cape Town.
Operation Cargo. You know about it?
Arming local conflicts in Africa. I didn't know that was you.
It was me. We dumped crates full of rifles into the ocean. They had to be pulled out using borrowed fishing boats. Same old circus, but hey, that's how wars are won.
Listen, sorry, in a bit of a rush right now. We'll talk another time, okay?
Sure, sure. Good seeing you again.
Emergency protocols active. System security confirmed.
Bastard! He lobbied them hard for it when they flew in from Tokyo. Director of Special Operations? With his file?
The Japanese might buy it.
Don't look, but that's him. Jenkins' boy.
Why couldn't I work with that prick?
Please enter the antechamber. Visitor authorization granted.
Are you online? Have a seat, V. Be right with you. We have to handle this voting issue before we lose our bases in the Sea of Clouds. They're about to begin. What's the situation? Yeah, just as we thought. You know what to do. Start now. Director Abernathy.
I watched the vote. What the hell was that?
A deep clean after the shit Frankfurt dumped on us. As we agreed, I got rid of the problem.
I told you to resolve the problem, not massacre the European Space Council. Do you understand what the cover-up will cost?
We would have lost the license. Now we gained a week. That's a win.
Path of least resistance always. No nuance. Has you written all over it. We're not done talking about this.
I hate that bitch. I always have.
Always, meaning how long?
Before Night City, we worked on an assignment in Osaka. 2 years of subterfuge. She spent them digging a trap for me. When she became director of Spec Ops, and that's when she finally shoved me in it. And now she's holding a gun to my head to make sure I don't try anything. But she won't pull the trigger because she needs me. I do what she doesn't have the guts to do.
Divide and conquer. Effective strategy.
Effective. What would you do in my position?
You have to defend yourself. Remind Abernathy you're not her doormat.
You're right.
Smack her once, but hard. She'll respect you.
Seems we see eye to eye on this issue. Take this.
A data shard.
Proof of my trust. Go on, take it. It's what I've collected over the past weeks. Biometrics, trauma team card, names of her closest associates. Driver, chief of security. Lover, lover's husband. Everything. Use it. and make sure Abernathy won't be a problem anymore. You said it. I need to defend myself.
If anyone finds out we even talked about this, I'll go down with you.
That's true. But everyone knows you only made it to where you are thanks to me. So it's not like they could ever believe you played no part in it.
What'll happen if I refuse?
Don't ask stupid questions. This isn't a request, V. We seem to understand each other. Take this, too. Use this money only, find the right people for the job, no corporate affiliation. And for the core task, use someone you know inside out. Are we clear?
Yeah, I think we're clear.
Good. In that case, I'll await your report. And good luck with it. I have my AV waiting outside. It's yours to use. And don't disappoint me. Jenkins, Night City Counter Intel. I need an analysis of the legislative procedures for lunar-based licenses. Yes? Yes, the Sea of Clouds. Black clinics. Operating outside earthly jurisdiction. Of course, unofficially. No, not yet. We're just exploring options for now. On the authority of Director Abernathy, yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, if that's how it's got to be. That's clear. Say again? That's clear. Say again?
I have those reports you asked for?
I don't have the time, just send them my way.
Hey, V, you alive? How's things in the Viper Pit?
Viper Pit. Couldn't have said it better.
You in some trouble?
Not yet. Right now, I just need a soul I can trust.
That kind of sounded like a yes. Meet me at Lizzie's. Be there in an hour.
I need your stamp on something. It's possible one of our assets was exposed.
Is it Frankfurt again?
No, different issue. Local.
Tell me, quick version.
Our agent at Biotechnica suspects they might be onto him. They recently granted him red security clearance. That's top. He's been fishing for dirt, but it's been slow.
Your point?
They're clean. Like we run orphanages clean. Bleached server clean. We suspect they flagged him and are feeding him phony data. Should we greenlight exfil or let him keep looking?
Projected risks?
Limited threat to life. Not Biotechnica's style. Blackmail's possible. Leveraged against false accusations in the media. The guy has kids. He'd crack.
Pull him out, but calmly. Don't raise any eyebrows. Otherwise, they'll catch on.
Jenkins will be livid.
I'll handle Jenkins.
Understood.
nothing to add. No, I didn't say anything of the sort. That's right, no comment. How many times do I have to say it? Tell your people to be careful.
They'll be searching for dirt on us now.
Lunar bases are huge to them. They won't forgive us for this.
Did you see the report on the vote? I mean, shit.
The world's going to tear us apart when the word gets around.
The world's never going to find out. And the few who do know the truth, they won't know it for long.
Access granted. Please provide your destination.
Bring up district analytics.
Increased NCPD presence and activity has been reported in Haywood. No official statement has been forthcoming. Intercepted radio communications suggest MaxTac has been sent to the area. A widespread power failure has been reported in Santo Domingo. All other districts exhibit activity within expected parameters.
Destination, Lizzie's bar.
Noted. En route.
Broadcasting with a breaking story for you. A conference of the European Space Council screeched to a grisly halt following a failure in a neural stabilization system. 5 European Space Council members are dead, while 3 remain in critical condition. Authorities are still looking into what might have caused this shocking incident. The council members were all wearing Biotechnica-provided devices. The corporation's representatives have, as yet, refused to comment. Our reporter is on the scene. We'll have updates on developments as they come to light. Stay with N54 News for the latest.
Hello, V.
Yes? We weren't scheduled to connect till the end of the week.
Quantified Satori received notification of a somewhat troubling biometric reading. I felt I should call. Is everything in order?
Things are dandy. Everything is.
Just think back to our last session. The neuromotor relaxation exercises 3 times a day, they'll soothe and lift your spirit. I know this.
Sure, okay. See you later.
No designated landing site has been detected at the destination.
Find a spot close to the bar, as close as you can. Fuck procedures.
Initiating landing sequence based on new parameters. We have arrived at your destination.
Fuck's your problem, Psycho Suit? This look like a landing pad to you? Could have fucking crushed us.
Out of my way.
What? Who the fuck are you to say that to me?
Arasaka counter intel. We done here?
Fuck. Used to be hard with this. Corpos. Fucking do whatever. Think the world's theirs.
Couldn't use the front door like everyone else?